And welcome into Getting Help from Uncle Sam. You know, we've been doing this show nearly 20 years, and it's hard to remember phone numbers occasionally, but one number that I've always been able to remember very simply is 1-800-AGE-LINE. Wow, that's the phone number for the Alabama Department of Senior Services, and today they're our guests on the show. We got Todd Russell and Robyn James. Good to have you guys here.
Good to be here.
And, you know, Todd, when we talk about the seniors, you know, sometimes seniors get a little older. Sometimes people try to take advantage of them a little bit.
Right.
What's the latest scam out there as far as seniors are concerned?
Well, Jack, let me tell you about one that we've been hearing about a lot lately.
Okay.
And a matter of fact, I got a phone call at our office on my personal phone from my mother-in-law down in Florida.
Oh, and you hung up.
I resisted that temptation. And moving forward, then she began to tell me about a phone call she received. And these scammers like to play on our heartstrings. Mm-hmm. So they'll call you at bedtime or the time they think you're getting up. And this new one is one called the grandparent scam. And there's variations of it, but the way that they went through the conversation with her was, and they know that most of our seniors have grandchildren, many of whom are in college, and so they explained to her, and the call is going to be muffled, and so it's going to be hard to make out the voice so that you can tell if it's your relative or not. And so the person on the other end of the phone says, "Grandma, my buddy from college decided to get married last minute, and he paid for me to come down with him to this other insert foreign country here.
Right.
And so we were getting ready for the wedding. We were in a car accident. Now we're in jail, and I've got to have $500 wired down to me." Well, unfortunately, she said Manning. She mentioned her own grandson's name to this person. But then she did think about past conversations we had, and a little bit further along, she decided when they kept being insistent on getting the money down there, this doesn't sound like my grandson.
Right.
So she hung up, which is what we always advise our seniors to do.
Mm-hmm. Good one.
So that's a big one that's out there now, so we want to make sure that our seniors are watching out for that.
Absolutely. Well, you know, Robyn and Todd, we've been talking about this for a long time. We think about the fact that when I say the word abuse or child abuse, we think of abuse being something that just happens to kids. Mm-hmm. But we don't really realize the fact that our seniors get abused equally as much sometimes and even more than children. But you people were very instrumental on getting laws passed to address this. Can you kind of explain that?
Sure. Well, I'd like to just mention that we were part of a group of state agencies that came together, and thankfully in 2012 the legislature passed the Alabama Interagency Council for the Prevention of Elder Abuse. A great tool now so that these different agencies, state agencies, private entities, can come together with a primary focus of preventing elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation around our state. The next year, in 2013, the legislature then passed the Protecting Alabama Elders Act, which is one of the toughest pieces of elder abuse legislation in the nation, that has crimes as harsh as potentially putting people in jail for 10 years to life. Wow. Based on intentional abuse of a senior that causes physical injury. The council also looks at the long-term plan of how to best address the abuse problem in our state. And we're looking at that every year to try to refine the process and make sure all our agencies work together as cohesively as possible. We also have a public speaking component where we go around the state and educate our seniors about trying to be as knowledgeable as they can to prevent any abuse from taking place and happening to them. One other component we have is something that's been replicated around the country, and Robyn's going to be the person who's our expert on it because she helped create it, and that's our Elder Abuse Toolkit.
Great, but before we see the toolkit, one question. In the area of elder abuse, is it not true that most of the time it happens, it's family members that are the perpetrators?
Many times
Yes.
it is, definitely. And we do say that, unfortunately, it can be anyone.
And it's usually for money.
Typically. And you know, obviously our seniors have those funds at that point and stage in their life that people unfortunately want to come after.
So our viewers, if obviously they're watching this segment, and either one of two things, they either may be the victim of elder abuse or know someone that's the victim of elder abuse, can they go to that 1-800-AGE line and contact you people from that aspect?
Well, if it's if they suspect elder abuse, neglect, or exploitation, they need to report it to the appropriate authority, which is the Department of Human Resources.
Okay.
They have Adult Protective Services, and I will show the number in the toolkit.
Okay.
And they can report anonymously. They do not have to give their name.
And then you people are responsible for putting the toolkit together.
Yeah, we're the advocacy organization.
right.
Yes.
Okay. So let's let our viewers get an idea what the toolkit's all about.
Sure. This is a wonderful tool that seniors
I
and
can grab that
caregivers
right there, and I can just hold that like that.
really need to get. It's free, and the statewide council put this together, and it's fairly new, and it has just a wealth of information in the inside. It's got 7 inserts,
Whoa.
and it talks a lot about there's a lot of power in getting a power of attorney. That's just one insert. Power of attorney is a very important document for seniors to have.
Absolutely.
But they want to be careful who they trust,
Right.
because they're pretty much giving that person full authority to spend their money. And then there's also questions that seniors or loved ones need to ask to see if there is some potential abuse, neglect, or exploitation going on.
Okay.
Many times when somebody is exploited financially, there's also neglect that occurs.
Oh, yeah. It's a total package.
Yes, and so
Yes.
they can get this from our agency, or they can just call 1-800-AGE-LINE, as you said, Jack, and get this free toolkit. And we really, really encourage people to order as many of these as they feel necessary to distribute in their community.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for what you do. And just remember this. Obviously, you can go to the 1-800-AGE line and get information that you need for a multiple of things from the Alabama Department of Senior Services, one of the best run organizations in the United States of America, by the way. And obviously, if all else fails, call me at 277-5000. I'll get you in touch with these folks. And we'll be right back right after this.